What's a boy to do? My fiance Kendra asked me if I could get all of her rocks polished. If you watch my videos, you know we do a series called The Great Kendra Scott Rock Off. These are Kendra's rocks. Well, mostly. There are some others in here as well that she just picked up at the Coconut 06 Ranch out there in West Texas. This one, for example, looks like a fish fillet. I've taken these and run them through the coarse grit for about 10 days just to smooth them out a little bit. Kendra does not like her rocks perfectly smooth like I do. So these will have flaws in them, fractures, bumps, and bruises. That's okay, that's how she likes them. She really wants to see these shiny. Kind of like they look now, all wet. So I told her I would use the Vibratory Tumbler and I'll go through the 4 different grits that I use and make these nice and shiny. Now the problem is, it's a big bucket of rocks. And a Vibratory Tumbler has sort of a limited capacity. Now I have to decide, how am I gonna do this? It would take me just several different runs to go through all these in the tumblers I have. Let me show you what I mean. So I've got the little mini Sonic, that one's going right now. I've got the 10 pound. I've got 2 of these 18 pounds. But even these 18 pounders, these barrels are not particularly big, which means it would take me several different cycles of going through all those different stages to get them all done. But I think I've come up with another solution. Check this out. For a big bucket of rocks, what you need is a big Vibratory Tumbler. Look at this thing. Woo! I just got this. It's a 45 pound Adjust-A-Vibe. This will do the trick. Now, it may not do it in one run, but we're gonna see. I'm gonna get as many of those rocks in there as I can, and we're gonna try this thing out. Hopefully it'll work. I've already had to modify it somewhat. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, with the lid off, you get an idea of the capacity of this thing. It's pretty big. Down here, I've used some 2-part epoxy to fill the holes that these have in them. This is pretty hard stuff. I'm hoping it holds up okay. If not, I'll just reapply it. It's for the system of rinsing, draining this thing, which is what people who clean parts might use. But for rock tumbling, I don't need those. So they've been sealed up. So now what I'm going to do is get as many of these rocks in here as I can, and then we're going to fire it up. Now I haven't even adjusted the counterweight on it to see if it's going to be the right action, but we're going to cross that bridge when we get to it. Okay, check it out. It looks like I was able to get about half of the rocks in there. That's a good start. I did turn it on one time and it is rather noisy. So I've got the camera on the stand. I'm gonna fire it back up, and don't worry, I'll turn the volume down. And then I'm going to add some ceramic. I don't think I need a lot because I've got such a mix of sizes in there, but I'm going to add some ceramic. And then I'm going to add about, 4 tablespoons of the 220 grit. Normally I do about 2 tablespoons in an 18-pound bowl, and this is certainly more than twice that big. So 4 to 5 tablespoons of the 220 grit, and we'll see how it goes. So watch your hearing and mind your pets, because this is about to get loud. As I said, it's very loud. Now I'm going to add some ceramic. This should quieten it down a little bit. As far as how much ceramic, well, I don't know. I'm just sort of guessing here. This is not scientific. I don't know. How about, that much? The next step is to add the 220 grit silicon carbide. This is about, 4 to 5 tablespoons. Again, I'm sort of just guessing here, trying things out. But that seems about right. Now I like to add a little bit of moisture. All right, that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. All that's left is to put the lid back on and let this thing run for a while and do its thing. Hopefully after a day or so, we'll have developed a nice slurry. We're going to find out. This is how it looks after one day. A good slurry has developed. The motion looks good. I'm happy with that. What's left? I'm gonna go ahead and let this thing run another day or so, then change grits, let it go a couple days, change grits, get to that final polish, and hopefully we'll have some good results. The beast is finished. All of Kendra's rocks have been polished. There are so many, I can't even begin to get them all into the frame of my camera. Overall, they turned out okay. Now, I will say I learned some lessons along the way. Number one, I had the force up way too high to start with. I ended up turning it down. But that created some issues with, a lot of the quartz got beat up really badly, and some of these will need to be done over again. Otherwise, once I got it all straightened out and working the way I wanted it to work, I was getting a pretty good shine, as you'll see here. What I'm gonna do, there are so many, I'm not about to show you all these. I'll show you a couple of the nicer ones up close so you can see how well this beast did. Here's one of Kendra's, I guess this was one of our rock-off rocks that, looking at the outside where the chalcedony is, it took, as you can see, a great shine. The quartz got beat up quite a bit and did not take a great shine. Now, I told Kendra we can do these over again now that I've got a better handle of how to use that. But the point is, once you get it set up right, look at the shine you can get on these. That's not bad. Here's a big chunk of Crayola agate. Look at this. This stuff is beautiful. Aaron Thomas guided us to an area where he said you can find this, and we are so glad we found it because check out the beautiful mossiness in there. They call it Crayola agate, and it has many colors. Now, I have a batch going right now of this Crayola agate that, well, it's going to look a lot different because I like to tumble mine smoothly. Kendra likes hers more natural. I'm very excited about my batch after seeing just how well this stuff shines. Now this, of course, is Kendra's fish fillet rock. What do you think? Yeah, took a good shine. And it does look like something you would eat. Although I don't recommend eating this. You would definitely ruin your teeth. Check out this little nodule. This was one of the rock-off rocks. I recognize this. I love that little tiny dendritic bush right there. Isn't that cool? And it took a good shine. Now, if you look closely, you can see along the edges that it's a little beat up, but that was my fault. I didn't have the force set right. I've learned. In spite of that, though, as you can see, it still just took an awesome shine. Check out this little geode rock here. Once again, great shine on the outside, and look at some of the detail within this rock. Oh, I think that is super. Would you call that sagenitic with those sprays in there? I think that's how you would define that, sure. What a fun rock. It's probably better that this one didn't get coarse tumbled the way I like my rocks. Might have eaten through some of that. That's really something. I really like this one because it has these big spots on it, the botryoidal bumps. And as you can see, they took a pretty sweet shine. Now this one has some of that beat up quartz on it, but in spite of that, if you look past it, you can see it also has some beautiful detail. Look at that pinkish banding in there. And then that, oh, let's just call it mossiness. Wow. We may have to redo some of these just to make the quartz look better because the rest of these rocks, look at that little bot right there in the center. I see a face in there. Do you see that face? 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth. That little bot is staring back at us. How cool is that? So this big guy got beat up a little bit, but in spite of that, I really like how this one turned out. Look at this surface here. Oh, that's beautiful banding right there. And a great polish. But again, look at the edges. You can see what I'm talking about. The machine was just a little too rough on them to start with. I could redo these starting in at 220, clean them right up, and I may do that. I like this one. It's interesting looking. It's not an agate, and it did not take a mirror-like shine, but in spite of that, I still like it. I think it's a cool looking rock. And I believe I remember this rock-off rock. I'm pretty sure I lost to this one. Oh, I love that banding in there. Isn't that pretty? Why am I showing you this coarse looking rock that did not take much of a shine? This is why. Look at the beautiful bots on top of this one and the shine they took. You can see down into them like clouds. Isn't that beautiful? Wow. Those turned out great. The rest of the rock, not so much, but those, absolutely. Here's a nice chunk of that West Texas chalcedony that I know was used in one of our rock-offs because of this flat cut surface right here. Yeah, you can see it has a little bit of that light banding in there. I think that's attractive. I suspect these two went together at one point. As you can see, these are both sagenitic agates. Look at that. I love finding those sprays in there. Look at those fabulous little, I don't know, like needles in there. Wow, that is really cool stuff. These look like they went together, but it's beyond me to put them back together. It's possible that this was just a random rock she picked up and this is one half of one that we cut. Either way, they're both very cool sagenitic agates. Here's a fun agate with lots of detail on the inside. Check that out. Ooh. Ooh, not so great on this side. A little bit, well, roughish. Hey, look at that. We got banding over there. Nice. Interesting. Now, although this one's a little beat up in spots, it's a really cool agate. It's cut like a thick slab. This is probably one that, after we finished one of our rock-offs, Kendra jumped on the saw and just started cutting her rocks more and more to see what else she could find. Now, this one would be a good example of one that could use another run through the cycle. It's a nice rock and it is definitely beat up. This is a sliver of sagenite that I really like. Has some great detail in it. Check that out up there. Ooh. Very nice, right? Oh yeah. Super cool rock. Check out this colorful one. I remember following this one throughout the cycles. I love the pattern in there. It's too bad it's got that beat up undercutting area there because the chalcedony is just stunning. I swear I see red, white, and blue in that, and orange, and yellow. Pretty amazing stuff. Though this is one of our rock-off rocks for sure. I think I remember cutting this one because it has that amazing flame pattern in it. Look at that. You can just imagine someone holding up a lighter at a rock concert and that flame just dancing around. Nice stuff. I'm not exactly sure what this one is, but I really like it. It's not a Crayola agate. It looks just like a small piece of, I don't even know. It's an agate for sure, but check out the detail on this. Isn't that beautiful? It's just a sliver of something really nice. Here's another one of those Crayola agates. Check out that pattern. Wow. Oh, that stuff is really, really interesting. And here's another piece of it. Oh, that's super cool. And one more piece. Ooh, look at the pattern in that one. Wow. Good looking stuff. There are so many cool rocks in this batch, I could just go on, but I'm going to end on this one only because it has that really pretty banding right there. I think that's a gorgeous little agate. I think I remember competing against this one in the rock-off game and I got my butt kicked. It's easy to see why. Thanks to all of you out there for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe learned a lesson or two from it. I know I did. We got us some shiny rocks. Kendra picked out some beauties. And maybe we'll redo some of them, but even if we don't, they're lovely to look at just as they are. Thank you again for watching. I appreciate it, and be sure and check my other videos for more like this. Thanks again.